Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, The Hungry Gamer is back with another con recap video, and today we're talking about BreakoutCon 2024, which took place in Toronto, Canada. Now, this was an interesting one for me to go to because originally I was going to go this on, I think, my second media pass ever in 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020, and so I didn't get to go. And I've kind of wanted to go back since, because Canadian Kev lives in Toronto and actually lives a 10-minute walk from the hotel where the convention takes place. So I've really wanted to go for a long time, and so finally we just bit the bullet, bought the ticket, flew on out there, and they were kind enough to give me a media pass, which was just lovely. So jumping into the con itself, things about the con that I think are noteworthy. One, the staff was super nice. I mean, I know Canadians are supposed to be nice, but like, they were super, super nice. Almost nice to the point to where I thought maybe they're like really watching me or something. Because anytime I needed anything, just poof, there they were. If I needed it, I could get it. And just lovely. A particular note I have to shout out Yvonne, who was the media contact person. She was just great, just lovely to hang out with and be there with and get to know, and just awesome. Now, the con itself, things that I want to point out that I thought were just great. One, it was set up to where even though in some of the areas it was pretty tight, where a lot of tables, they had it set up in a way to where you always felt comfortable enough. You could find somewhere that you didn't feel too crowded, too cramped. And they even had spaces to where, if you really were feeling uncomfortable, they had some mask-only rooms that you could go into, which had fewer people in there, but you could go in there if you needed to or wanted to. And so one, I appreciate that was a thing, because I do often like to still mask when I go to conventions when there's a lot of people around. I just feel more comfortable because I don't want con cred. I don't want any of that. So it was nice that that was an option, that they were paying attention to their audience, knowing that, hey, some people still aren't comfortable that way. And so they had those rooms available. They had a kids room available where you could just go in if you play games with kids that you had. And they had a game table set up with games that you could play that are kid friendly. I loved that. They had a lovely little miniatures painting area going on. They had a whole like wing of RPG stuff, which I don't tend to do RPG stuff, so I didn't actually dive in and check that out. But in particular, they had an awesome flea market. It was one of the best flea markets I've ever seen. They called it like the bring and leave auction. I don't know, it wasn't really an auction. But what they did do, which was different from most of the flea markets I've ever been to, is you had to deliver your games to BreakoutCon with the price that you want for it. And then two other prices, because they would open it up and you could go through, people would buy whatever they want, and you're not there just like hawking and selling, it's just there. These are the games, these are the options that you have. And the price was on there, and you could take it and buy it and go. Or you could also see what the price would be at 2 o'clock, which would be less. And you could see what the price would be at 4 o'clock, which would be less. So you kind of, it was almost like a little game, a little push your luck game. You could wait, I'm going to come back in a couple hours and get this for a little bit cheaper, or whatever you wanted to do. But what I liked about it is there were so many games in there. So many more games in that size room than any other flea market that I've been to, because you didn't have the owner of the games standing there like hawking their wares, which allowed for more space. No one's there like hogging a table, elbowing people out of the way. Just the best flea market I've ever seen at a game convention. Now, with that said, it would have been nice if there was a way to do digital payments at the flea market. It was cash only, and it worked out for me because I just didn't have a big suitcase to put stuff in. But it would have been nice, I think, for people if you could go in and use PayPal or Venmo, which they don't have Venmo in Canada. They have something called like e-transfer or something like that. But like whatever, if you could use it, that probably would have been nice. And probably could have moved some more of those games and gotten them out of there. But what I'm getting at here is, this was a lovely convention. I'm really hoping I get to go back someday. It's expensive to fly to Canada, but hopefully I do get to go back, because it really was a blast for just kind of sit and game and have a good time. There were some vendors around, and I got to check and do some cool demos. I got to meet some people, so it's a smaller one. And so if you've been following my channel, this is on the level of like a DungeonCon here in California, or a PacificCon, a little bit bigger than the PacificCon, I think. So a smaller local convention, but I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to continue to get bigger. especially I think for the board game community as the board games become more of a focus at the convention. Right now, I'd say it's probably 60-40 RPG to board games, and that's mostly based on just kind of eyeballing it and looking at the events that they were offering. But all in all, wonderful experience, had a great time, highly, highly, highly recommend, especially if you are in Canada, you should definitely go next year. Now, moving into the games that I played, and as always, when I do a list of games from a convention, this is not about what game was the best. This is more about what is the amount of fun that I had playing it. And fun means a whole bunch of different things. It takes into account of how tired was I. So for example, the first day I had taken a red eye out from San Jose to Toronto. We got there. I took a shower and went straight to the convention, and I barely slept on the plane. So yeah, that affects things. Noise, time of day, blah, 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 blah. All those things. But all of that comes together. So I've put together my list of the 17 games I played, though a couple of them I did play more than once. And here is the list. So coming in at number 17 is Catnip Auction House. And this is a game that the designer was there, and he was there in the protospiel room doing some various testing of whatever. And he happened to have this, and Yvonne said that it's a very cute game and that we should try it. So Canadian Kevin and I, we were in the middle of a game of Sail, and we stopped and we just kind of moved over to the table after they had it set up, and we jumped in and played this game. This is a game where you are different cats, and you are bidding your catnip to get items. And the items are going to be worth points, and they have powers. And it's kind of a push your luck type thing. People just keep tossing catnip in because they want it, they want it, they want it. And at some point, someone says, no, I'm just going to take all that catnip and I'm going to use that later. And then they're out of the bidding for the item. And it was fun. We had a good time with it. It is one that I think probably would have played better if we were playing at 6 or 7 players instead of only 4, but it was cute. I enjoyed it. Cats are cute. It's silly. Can't complain. Number 16 is the one that we were playing at the same time, and that is Sail from All Play Games. Now, again, when I talk about games at 16, 17, oh, that sounds bad. Again, it's not. I'm just ranking them in the order I need to rank them in. The reason that Sail, which is this 2-player co-op trick taker, where you're moving your sailing ship across the board, trying to get to a certain location and dodging the Kraken and dodging islands and all these things. The reason it comes in at 16 is only because Kevin and I only got to play the intro mission. We actually played it twice. We lost it twice. It's very, very hard. But I will tell you, this one is very clever. And it is super high on my list of games to play again very, very soon. But I kind of want to dig in a little bit deeper. But that's a game that's living in my brain space a little bit rent-free right now. Number 15 on the list is Red Dragon Inn. We played with the Villains decks, which I think is Red Dragon Inn 6 maybe? I can't remember. And it's the one that they happen to have at the convention because Brian from Brains on Games had never played, and it's Canadian Kevin and I is one of our favorite games. And so we introduced it to him, we played, and the reason it's only coming in at 15 is I had a great time with it. It was just a blast. It's always a blast when you're able to just kind of dive in and understand it's pure, take that, mean, silly, read that flavor text out loud. And it's because we didn't get it finished. And we didn't get it finished because Brian had to go off and do a demo. But always love Red Dragon Inn. Great time with it. Number 14 on the list is Mori. And this was one of Brian's favorite games that he brought, with his favorite trick takers. And it's cool. It's a cool trick taker. And the reason it only comes in at number 14 is it was, gosh, it must have been 1 a.m. when we started playing. Real tired. But it's a very cool game where it has this lovely mechanic where when you win a trick, you get to take a die. And you can actually use the dice as cards because the cards are your points. But there's also these X cards that, because you didn't know what an X was, I had to do that. But these X's that you can give to other people, let them take when they win a trick, or use dice and give them out, means that if you have the most of these X's, you're going to lose a bunch of points. But if you have the second most of those X's, you're going to get some points. And so there's this really interesting balance and give and take of trying to get X's, but not too many X's. And then sometimes if you have too many X's, you're trying to frantically give them away. Fascinating little game. Really fascinating. Enjoyed it. Number 13 on the list is Pew Pew Bucky Book, or Wizards of the Grimoire. And they were there. And these guys are so nice. And I love talking to them. And Canadian Kevin and I, we got to try out the expansion. And that is that the Sands of Destiny or the Sands of something, I don't know, Sand Between Your Toes. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a standalone expansion. And the spells in this one, to me, are a little bit more complicated. Just a hair. There's some that let you, there's more spells that kind of combo with other spells, and there's these relics that are one use only. They do various things, and it's a great head-to-head two-player game. Period. I loved it. Really enjoyed getting to play the expansion. Kevin had never tried the expansion. He got to. He enjoyed it. Just really, really a great game. That comes at number 13. Number 12 is Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto. And I've talked about this before. Actually, I have a whole video about it, which you can check out. I think this is a really good, fast, inexpensive co-op game. And I really loved, one, getting to teach Kevin how to play it, but two, getting to play it again two-player with another person. I've played it once or twice with Original Dawn, but most of the times I've played, it's been by myself playing either one character or two characters. And I got to play and experience that, and the conversations that you get to have are just so, so interesting. And it is always a fun game. And I enjoy it. I love to play it. Great. Number 11 on the list is Kingswood. And Kingswood is an older one from Henry Audubon in 25th Century Games that has stuck around since they sent me a review copy, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't know, a long time ago. And I love the look of this game. It's this very, very simple rondel mechanic that you're doing with a couple little twists. And it's just a delightful game. It's one that my wife likes a lot. And so actually I brought it from San Jose to Canada because my wife came along with me, not to come to the convention, but just to kind of go see all the museums and do all the Toronto stuff. And so we actually played one night back at Kevin's house and just had a great time with it. Really, really enjoyed. Small box, big game, good stuff. Especially if you like a rondel mechanic and you're looking for something that is light. Number 10 on the list is Marvel United. And this is one that we played late night, Brian, Kevin, and I. And this is a really good crisis management game. It just really is. It's very, very light. And there's probably way more content for this game than you need. I mean, there's so much content for this out there. But it is a fun, easy to play crisis management game. I always enjoy it. We had a good time with it. That came at number 10. Number 9 is Clank Catacombs. And this was one that Kevin really wanted to play. So we brought it from his place and we set it up one day. We're hoping to play 3-player. It didn't work out that way. So we just played 2-player. And I've played a lot of Clank Legacy. I've never played Catacombs. And the cool thing with Catacombs is you're exploring different tiles. And every time you move off the tile, you flip a new one over, you kind of rotate it, and there's stuff there. And I wasn't convinced at first that this was something that I needed in my life because I have so much Clank. I have base Clank with all the initial expansions, thanks to a lovely subscriber who had a copy and just sent it to me, which was so nice because I was bemoaning the fact that I didn't have it anymore. But this one was actually fun. The changes that it makes, I think, are pretty darn good. It's very clever. I'll absolutely play it again. The only reason that it's all the way down at number 9 is I made a terrible choice. I didn't build my deck very well, and I had a lot of movement, but no swords. And so I thought, well, I think I can just push this. I'm just going to push it and try to run past everything, grab something, and run out. And I ran out, and I died right in front of the front gate. So it didn't quite work for me, but it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. I always like playing Clank, though I do think it probably plays best at 3 or 4 players. Number 8 is Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber. This is a game that, I love it. I love playing it. It's great. Kevin had it, and he just wanted me to teach him. So he brought it one morning, and right before we played Clank, we played this. And it was one of the best games of Mouse Cheese I've ever had, because he was the cheese, I was the cucumber, and it was close. I mean, it was close. We got down to the end, and I pulled the trigger just a little bit too early and used my cucumber power, and didn't work out. Had I waited one more turn, it would have worked out. But I blew it, I guessed wrong, and I wound up losing. But I always enjoy it. Great game. Really one of the best $15 games. I think it's like $12, whatever. One of the best $15 games you're going to find out there. Really, really good. Number 7 is Thunder Road Vendetta. And Kevin and Brian and I, we played it one afternoon and it just had a great time. It's pure chaos. It is pure chaos. We blew Brian up a lot, and it's just rolling dice, slamming into each other, rolling more dice, trying to get ridiculous combos, hoping you don't drive onto a mine when there's a hazard. Just it's a delightful game, pure chaos, always fun. Not a ton of strategy to it, but it is a lot of fun. Number 6 on the list is Tesseract, and I talk about this one a lot. I've been playing a lot of it lately, and this is just another really good crisis management game that has great table presence, has this awesome lazy Susan that spins around, and it's a good challenge. We actually played twice. It was a kind of a demo that was set up, and we got crushed twice. In fact, the one game, I've never seen so many sixes rolled in any game ever. It's just sixes, six, 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 six. That's all we do is roll sixes. And one of the pictures that I put up there, you can see a whole bunch of sixes laid out, and that's why we lost that game. But it's just great. It's just a fantastic, fantastic game. With number 5 on the list is Lunar Rush, and we played this one very late at night. It was Dr. Bryan's game of the year last year. It was an honorable mention for me. And Canadian Kevin never actually played, though it's not his type of game, so that's why he'd never played. And it was another one that we played pretty late at night. We think we started like 9:30, and we played with the Moon Wonders. We taught Kevin how to play, and had a really good game. I got waxed. I just didn't adjust my strategy when I should have, because I was cornering the metal market. And then Kevin came in and started doing metal, and rather than do something, I was like, well, I think I'm far enough ahead, because at that point, we got to turn 6, and Brian had 0 points. He actually got a free bid because he had no points. But at the same time, he had this train of Lunathus gems going, and just suddenly he shot up, and on the last turn got like 300 points. Also, the Moon Wonders had something to do with that. And I got crushed. And Kevin wound up winning his first game ever. He won the game, and then even when we took away the beginner card points that you get the kind of bonus points, he still won the game. So all around, still a very good game. Really like to actually get to play it with the Moon Wonders. Really, really enjoyed it. Number 4 is Lightspeed Arena. I've talked about this game a lot. It is a fantastic convention game. Got to play with Yvonne, Brian, and Kevin. Several games in about 15, 20 minutes. It's just so much fun, so much chaos. It's coming to Game Founder Kickstarter soon. I can't remember which one. It's just great. It's just great. Number 3 on the list is a game called Collab. And this is one that I only got to play about a third of a game. And a gentleman who was running the Tesseract game for us told us about it. He said, oh yeah, the game over there, that guy's running demos of it. And it just sounded like so much fun. You're all kind of down in your luck super scientists trying to do your super science, but you can't afford your own lab, so you're in a shared workspace. And your minions are all running around, and you're kind of activating each other's minions, using their minions, building up the lab, and then using the stuff that other people built up as you're building out this tableau of cards you're going to be able to activate. And the deluxe version, which is what he had, was just stunning. Just stunning. And so I reached out to the publisher, and they're going to send me a copy, and I'm very, very excited for it to try this game all the way through. But it's all the things that I like. It's tableau building, it's resource management, it's worker placement, it's rolling dice. So very, very excited about it. And the designer was actually the guy who was there and doing this demo. We didn't know until I asked him late at night. I was like, hey, can you teach us this game real quick? He's like, sure. And then he came to do a 5-minute explanation for us, and then he stopped, and then he was there for a little bit longer, and we were just chatting, found out he's the designer, and and he was so nice. It was super late. Like we packed it in around 2 a.m. and he was saying, "Oh no, it's yeah, if you want to just keep playing and finish up, that's fine. Just pack it up and hide it under a table over there." We didn't do that because we were tired, but very cool game. Really looking forward to playing more of it. Number 2 on the list is a game called Lairs, and that is an upcoming in the fall, I think, Kickstarter from KTBG, and it's this head-to-head game where each player is going to build a dungeon. And they actually build it with little physical pieces behind a screen. And both players are building a dungeon with the same rules, which you can build in the same materials. And then you're going to move through the dungeon, and you're going to tell people, okay, I'm going to C4. And then they tell you what's in C4, because they have a little meeple they're moving around on their board, which represents you. And then they tell you where you're going, and you're kind of drawing it out on a pad. And as you do this, you wind up discovering the dungeon. You're trying to beat monsters or find treasure and then get out. It's great. It's just great. It is just so much fun. I was laughing in the building of the dungeon. I was laughing when he would find the wrong things, and when I would find the wrong things, and I say, "Oh, I bet it's there, but I'm going to ignore it because it's not really going to be there." It's really good. It's very good. And I only played the intro tutorial, and we learned it and played it in about 37 minutes. So really, I'm very, very excited to find out what this one turns into, what they do, and that's all I know about it. Coming to Kickstarter in the fall, I think, and it sounds like the price point's gonna be pretty inexpensive. But I don't want to say anything because they haven't settled on that yet. Which brings me to number one. My number one game from the weekend was Illiterati, and we played this game a couple of times. This is a game that I backed on Kickstarter, and I just hadn't gotten it to the table. I wanted to, I just hadn't done it. And this is a cooperative word game, and you have all these tiles with letters, and you have to spell out words, and you're trying to get words that fit the categories that are on the books that you have, the cards that you have. And everybody's working together, sharing tiles, sharing words, trying to spell, trying to bind or fulfill two of these contracts that they have. When everyone's done that, then there's one final one that's a little bit harder that everyone has to do. And if you do that, you win. But you have a time limit for moving your words around. If you have too many letters left over, then the illiterati, the bad guys, are going to burn another book, and so you're one step closer to losing the game, and you lose a letter that you have out there. And then also, every round, the literati is going to attack you, which basically might be you're going to lose a word that you're holding on to, or you're going to lose some letters, or whatever it is. But there's, I think, 4 or 5 different literati, but every time you pull the same one, they compound. So if one round you lost 2 letters, and then you draw a different literati, but then you come back and you draw that same first literati again, not only are you going to do whatever the new card says, which might be lose an entire word, and you're also going to lose 2 letters. And so it really pushes the end game because it makes it harder and harder and harder for you to spell out new words, especially to spell words that are actually going to help you. Just great. I loved it. I can't wait to play that game again. But there you have it, folks. That is BreakoutCon, the top games of BreakoutCon 2024. I had a blast. I just had such a good time. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.